Anzio Jacob is a National Dialogue Civil Society Caucus and Organising Committee member. He joins us for some reaction. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, we're listening in to mixed reactions from South Africans from all walks of life, really just saying that they don't have much hope in the outcome of the national dialogue. As you assess day one of deliberations there, what would you say are some of the outcomes?
I think that one of the main outcomes is that the dialogue process has now officially begun. And so we saw there was some early contestation even at the venue about the process, but that is indicative of a process that people want to engage in. Indeed, today we saw an overflow. More people than we'd anticipated initially arrived for the dialogue today. And we saw a robust engagement in all of the breakaway sessions today. South Africans certainly are aware of what problems we face, but I think what makes this national convention and the kickoff of the dialogue unique is that for the first time we are not solely looking at government for a fix or a solution. We are looking across sectors to find a solution that is fit for South African problems.
And as you go into those discussions, I mean, what are some of the pressing topics that are coming to the forefront as the discussions, accumulate the sort of depth that one would expect from such?
Well, I think it's important to mention that the dialogue, the National Dialogue Convention was the kickoff to the process. And so there wasn't an intention to do a deep dive into the subject matter. Rather, it was to look at what were the key issues that we know are plaguing the country and how is it that we can seek to address those. And I think what gave me hope today was that the women's sector in particular articulated that gender-based violence is an ongoing nightmare for women in this country. And they were actively seeking solutions on how to address this problem. The National Dialogue signals a moment where civil society can work in tandem with business and labor and other sectors in order to look at real tangible solutions. What are some of the rapid responses that can be released? Small things that we can fix as South Africans, like having working street lights that will make it safer to walk in the streets at night, are small things that we can do as ordinary citizens where we don't need to be dependent on government. Indeed, we are calling upon the people of South Africa to be part of the solutions rather than simply pointing out the problems.
Yeah, because a lot of South Africans say, look, we already know what the challenges are. Government is aware. We've voiced our concerns. All that's needed is implementation. Is there a sense that this time around that implementation is something that will be prioritized because the problems are already known?
I think we certainly get the sense that things will be prioritized. There was a clear indication from those in attendance from government that this is a priority. But I think, again, to emphasize that while government was in the room, they were playing more secondary role as ordinary citizens. They weren't sitting in the room necessarily in their posts within government, but sitting listening as citizens to other citizens, lamenting the problems that we have and thinking about creative ways to solve those. I think something important about the national dialogue process is that it will be a citizen-led process. This means that ordinary citizens can self-identify the problems, but also then craft solutions that are appropriate to the environments that they are in. And then the one part that was part of the statement or address rather that the president had made, which was quite interesting, as he said that the solutions need to be citizen-led, and he would like for citizens to hold the government to account. Now, we've heard similar rhetoric before, but I think what makes this different is that while something is citizen-led, holding those in office to account, we're going to seek greater levels of transparency, we're going to want accountability, and we're going to seek rapid response as we rebuild the nation.
What are your expectations? I mean, as day two gets underway tomorrow, what are you hoping to leave with, what sort of understanding are you hoping to leave with as you engage and interact on some of the various topics?
So the first one is an understanding of how we'll take the process forward. We have 31 sectors in the room, over 200 organizations, and part of what we're hoping to achieve is the selection of a steering committee that will advance the national dialogue process. I think in addition to this, what we're doing is to call on those in the room from all of these organizations and sectors to take up the call and activate the national dialogues themselves. We were in the room being told by the president that the ambition is not to go into expensive hotels and keep these conversations behind closed doors, but rather to go into churches, mosques, community halls and the like, so that ordinary citizens can indeed access the conversations. More than that, the roadmap that has been put forward by the Convention Organising Committee and indeed the Eminent Persons Group is one that indicates that we will be at ward level to ensure that every South African is able to participate in the conversation. There will be a citizen-led process which will enable citizens in any setting, whether a braai at their home or in a book club, between 20 and 1,000 people to register that a conversation is taking place and to report into a central repository. And then in the third instance, also to have sectoral and cross-thematic dialogues. The intention here is that once the issues are surfaced, that there is a collaborative effort to try and identify what quick responses can go out so that South Africans can see tangible results in the process, and then to identify where there are longer term needs, how to address those outside of the constraints that might come with government implementation.
When you mentioned what the president had spoken to around, not sitting in fancy hotels and that, of course, the issue of value for money, looking at the amount of money that is said to be spent on the dialogue is something of huge concern to South Africans. I mean, some who have said that there could have been better value for such funds. Do you believe that at the end of this, there would have been value for the money that is going to be used to hold these discussions?
Well, before I'm a member of the Convention Organising Committee, I too am an ordinary South African.
Yeah.
And I do not want to see the South African purse wasted on a fruitless exercise. So indeed, we hope that this exercise will be value for money. And I think that it's encouraging that the president is ensuring that when these dialogues take place, they are not going to be taking place in settings that are going to be consuming a massive budget. Indeed, the budgetary allocation is meant to be a 60-40 split. But even at the moment, if you look at the way that the convention has come together, something that's quite promising is that the contribution from government would have made up about 40% of the expenditure, while that of civil society and in-kind donations, like the donation of the venue and the catering by UNISA, is 60% of the budgetary ask. And so that can reassure South Africans, and certainly as an ordinary South African myself, I'm reassured by those figures. But I do think that we're also calling for deep transparency. Indeed, we are calling for the steering committee, the incoming steering committee, and throughout the process that the eminent persons too will be keeping a careful eye on expenditure and ensuring that that kind of transparency translates such that ordinary citizens in South Africa are able to see what the money is being used for, unlike in processes where they're not privy to that information.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Anzio Jacob is a National Dialogue Civil Society Caucus and Organising Committee member.